Okay. We now come to welfare benefits, employment support, other legislative competence, other executive compliance, miscellaneous and general. We come to Government New Clause 14 with Government New Clause 34, New Clause 15, Government New Clause 17 and many other numerous clauses to go through it along with further government ones. Rather than me name them all, I'm sure we'll be happy for the Minister or Secretary of State to now move them. Secretary of State Mundell.
Thank you very much, Mr Deputy Speaker. Can I begin this section with the specific issue of welfare funds, on which I am accepting an amendment that the SNP tabled at committee. The Smith Commission stated that the devolution of welfare foods should be subject to further discussions between the UK and Scottish governments. This has taken place, and I am pleased that the new Clause 14 and consequential amendments 79 to 80 and 82 to 83 devolve powers to the Scottish Parliament concerning welfare foods. They will be able to abolish or amend existing schemes, which include the Nursery Milk Scheme and the Health Start Scheme, or make new schemes for the provision of welfare foods. On welfare more generally, the Government is proposing a number of changes to the welfare clauses, responding to a number of comments made by members of this House at committee stage, as well as the Scottish Parliament and other stakeholders. As a result, it will be beyond doubt that the Scotland Bill fully delivers on the Smith Commission agreement, and that the Scottish Parliament will have significant responsibilities for areas of welfare. I am pleased to see these changes receiving a full endorsement from Gordon Brown, from the Scottish media and indeed from all objective observers. The Scottish Government are getting responsibility for disability and carers benefits, which are worth £2.7 billion in Scotland last year, and they will be able to deliver new benefits in all areas of devolved responsibility if they wish. Amendments 70 and 71 to Clause 19 ensures the Scottish Parliament can, if they wish, legislate for the payment of a carer's benefit to a person who is under 16, is in full-time education or is gainfully employed. The Scottish Government will be able to pay anyone on a reserved benefit a top-up payment. This includes being able to top up benefits such as tax credits, child benefit and universal credit. Oh, indeed.
For the sake of clarity, could the Secretary of State say that the Scotland Bill as drafted this evening would allow the Scottish Parliament to top up tax credits?
Mr Deputy Speaker, I have said it on numerous occasions, and I am very happy to say it again. The Scotland Bill, as it progresses through this House this evening, will allow the Scottish Parliament to top up tax credits and indeed child benefit and elements of universal credit as well. They will be able to pay shorter-term payments to help anyone, regardless of whether they are entitled to a reserved benefit, who has an immediate need for them and whose well-being is at risk. I've also proposed important changes to the bill so that the Scottish Parliament can create their own new benefits in any area of devolved responsibility achieved by new Clause 34 and Amendments 191 to 193. The Scottish Parliament will be able to do this without any need to consult the UK Government. This power is significant. The Scottish Parliament will no longer be able to say that they are constrained by Westminster in deciding what they do, and they will be able to choose what additional benefits to offer people in Scotland. I must, however, make a few important points very clear about the new power that the Scottish Parliament will get to create these new benefits in devolved areas. Any new benefits that the Scottish Government wants to deliver will be in parallel to the benefits that are delivered by the UK Government. The new power does not affect Westminster's ability to legislate for and deliver support, and it does not enable the Scottish Parliament to change or amend in any way reserved Westminster legislation. The Scottish Parliament will need to both fund and deliver any new benefits from Scottish funds. The House will be aware that we have also delivered on other areas of Smith in full. Scottish ministers will be able to make regulations for certain elements of universal credit, such as the frequency of payments and to whom they are paid. Of course, indeed.
Most obliged to the Honourable Gentleman for giving way. Just for clarity, in terms of tax credit cuts, for those who lose their tax credits completely as a result of this Tory government's cutting agenda, what provision is it for them in the Scotland Bill?
Well, I don't know if the honourable lady is familiar with the income tax provisions in the bill, but the Scottish Parliament will have complete control over income tax in Scotland, and if it's concerned that people in work are not receiving sufficient income, it will be able to adjust those tax rates. The honourable lady knows that tax credits are not being devolved. Of course, there was much debate at committee on the universal credit powers, and there were many inaccurate accusations that the UK Government would have a power to veto decisions of the Scottish Government. To put this beyond reasonable doubt, I have brought forward amendments to clauses 24 and 25 that make clear that there is no UK veto over decisions that the Scottish Government make in this space. Amendments 77 and 78 strengthen the drafting of these provisions. The Secretary of State for Work and Pensions will remain legally responsible for the delivery of universal credit, but both governments will need to work collaboratively to consider any such changes to these elements of universal credit. This is at the heart of clauses 24 and 25, and I know that our officials have already had very constructive discussions with the Scottish Government on this subject. So, to ensure that the record is crystal clear, there are no UK Government vetoes anywhere in these welfare and employment clauses. I'd like to emphasise that we've listened to the Scottish Government and the debate in this House. For example, Amendment 72, which enables the Scottish Government to provide non-financial assistance for maternity, funeral and heating expenses, reflects an amendment the SNP tabled in committee. After full consideration, the Government is happy to make this change. Amendments 73, 76 and 191 to 192 also relate to this provision. All in all, Mr Speaker, this settlement fully reflects the agreement reached by the Smith Commission. It ensures that the areas that the agreement said should remain reserved, such as pensions, universal credit, sanctions and conditionality and employment support delivered by Job Centre Plus, remain the responsibility of the UK Government. But importantly, it gives the Scottish Parliament full responsibility for many areas of welfare. The Scottish Parliament will have the autonomy to legislate for large areas of welfare, and I look forward to the debate beginning on how it intends to use those powers. Discuss the Crown Estate, which is also an important issue which has been very much debated in the context of devolution. Clause 31 allows for the Scottish assets of the Crown Estate to be managed by the Scottish Government, and that the Scottish Government should receive the revenue from the management of those assets. Going forward, the clause means... Oh, sorry. Yes.
Thank you for giving way. Clause 31, paragraph 1, it actually says the Treasury may make. So it's hardly a ringing endorsement or commitment to actually to devolve that. And you may as well write, maybe aye, maybe no.
I don't obviously accept that analysis. The Crown Estate Transfer Scheme and the memorandum between both governments has been published. It's in the House Library. I see that, and copies are available at the Vote Office, and I see that the Scottish Government have already come back with their comments in relation to those proposals. So I think that very clearly going forward, the clause means that the Scottish Parliament will have the competence to legislate for the management of the Scottish assets and also further devolve powers to local authorities and communities should it wish. And I very much hope that in accordance with the provisions that Lord Smith himself set out in the agreement, that they will do so. It also does provide for protections envisaged by the Smith Commission to ensure the transfer is not detrimental to defence and other UK-wide critical national infrastructure. Amendments 84 to 95 to Clause 31 strengthen the delivery of the Smith Commission and the drafting of the provision. They make clear the policy intent of the clause, including the protection to be included in the transfer scheme relating to electricity charges and the obligation to maintain an estate in land, with proceeds from any disposal having to be reinvested in the estate.